girls by advocating for their rights, by also empowering the girls with their own rights. And as I mentioned, we also work with communities because they are the custodians of the rights of the girls, educating them on the rights of girls so that we end child marriages, we end all atrocities against the girl child.
And of course, ma'am, your organization, with this background?
Our organization deals with children, both boys and girls, and we offer free legal services and case management services to any child who is in contact with the law. So any child who's been abused or maybe who's alleged to have committed an offense, we do assist depending on the circumstances.
So how would you define child marriages? What exactly is child marriage?
A child marriage is any whereby a child or a girl or a boy below the age of 18 are married off, or whether they're married to a person their age, or they're married to, if it's a girl, they're married to an older man. It's called a child marriage. So our constitution provides for girls to, for the age of majority to be 18 years. So any person who enters into a relationship whereby they're staying with somebody at the house as a wife or as a husband at the age of below the age of 18 is a child who enters marriage.
Okay. And how does child marriage affect young people, especially young women in Zimbabwe or in Africa?
Well, child marriages do affect, I'll take for example a young woman. If she's married off at the age of 12, 13 or 14, she is still a child, her body is not developed enough to be able to take on the responsibilities of a wife or a mother that is expected by the marriage institution.
And what are you doing as an organization, as your organizations, what are your organizations doing to help such people?
Right. I just probably quickly want to tap into, just to add on to say, some of the effects of a child when they enter a marriage. As a young person, for instance, 19-year-olds, I mean, it's not heard of to say 9 or 10-year-olds can never get into a relationship, but when that happens, it means you've taken the child away from their education. And I'll speak and say that most of the children who are prone to child marriages are children from poor backgrounds. Why do they end up thinking about marriages is because, number one, it's either they are not educated, they don't know the repercussions, their parents may not know the repercussions and the consequences of such a child to enter into marriage, issues like they are not ready to be a mom. So their health can actually be affected. There is fistula. It means that somebody will not be able to control the urine and stuff. So they are damaged like that. And also, economic opportunities, when we marry off girls at the age of 9 or 12 or whatever, it means that we have removed them from school. So they are going to continue in the poverty circles because we've taken away the power that gives them economic empowerment or social empowerment. If you marry a 9 or 10-year-old, it means that they will not participate in the community because they don't have a voice. They have not discovered themselves. So they'll be separated. Often they marry older men and they don't have even a say in their sexual life to even protect themselves. So it's really unheard of.
Yes, it's really unheard of, definitely. And as you know, for young people, most of these relationships or these marriages are forced. What would you like to say to someone probably who's in a similar position and in that kind of scenario? What should an affected person do, a person who's affected by child marriages?
Okay, if they are a child or any adult who sees or identifies a girl who's in such circumstances, Childline has a toll-free number, 116. We do not have toll-free numbers as an organization, but we do not work in a vacuum. We work with other partners like Childline, and if they receive cases, we respond jointly, or if we get there first, we can respond to that child. And we work hand in hand with the government, particularly the Department of Child Welfare and Probation Services, to ensure that the child is removed from that environment, which is very vulnerable. Even if you're prosecuting the perpetrator, you cannot have the child and the perpetrator staying in the same house or in the same area. She will still be vulnerable and scared, so they'll be placed in a place of safety.
We're saying zero tolerance to early child marriages.
Right.
What would you like to say? Probably someone is affected with this child marriages right now. Probably they just don't want to say. You say they can contact Childline.
Yes, that's a toll-free number.
What's the toll-free number? You can just repeat again.
Okay, The child line should be 611. But I think what I can actually say also as a nation is the issues of child marriage shouldn't be something that we play with. I'll take this opportunity to directly speak about Mr. Tomana's utterances a few days ago about girls being given sexual consent at the age of 9. We can't play with things like that. Last week, the president and African Union, they called on for, they actually developed, they released a press statement where Africa committed to ending child marriage, and they defined child marriage as any relationship where, I'll actually read a statement from as part of what African Union did last week. I'll say that Ms. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, we know she's the United Nations Director of United Nations Women Executive Director globally. She was quoted last week as saying, "A safe and sustainable world demands women's rights, women's empowerment, gender equality, ending child marriage, women's rights and empowerment and gender equality. Ending child marriage is a critical step in providing women and girls with the opportunities to make their own decisions about health and their education and their lives." So it means that us as adults, us as organizations, we are committed to treating issues of ending child marriage as a priority. That means also any person within responded. I would also think about ZBC and say it calls when president is committed and they sign up to things like AU. It calls for all of us to be working towards that. And it's said when we have adults in government places calling to say 9-year-olds or 12-year-olds can consent for child marriage or for sex. So I'm just encouraging all of us to say it takes all of us. When AU says something, it takes you, it takes me to make sure that in my community, in my family, I do not marry off 18-year-olds. In my organization, I'm working to make sure that I'm holding others accountable. In government offices, we are responsible about utterances that we say. So it's all of us to make child marriage end. And Zimbabwe is a signatory. And from here, I'm also going to Parliament. The president is opening the child parliament today, and they've been debating about child marriage. So I'm just appealing to everyone to take the issue of child marriage seriously. It is taking away the nation's future. It takes away the nation's future. When mothers are not educated, we are just making the poverty cycle continue. So we are saying the poor are going to remain poor, the rich are going to remain rich. So it's you. When you know that your cousin is about to get married and she's less than 18, it means you have to stop the ceremony, and you have to call the police, and you have to call Tegela, you have to call CAT, you have to call Childline, everyone. So it's not just about the government, it's all of us, it's everyone, and we have to be responsible in the things that we say.
Yeah, to reiterate what she said, it's a collective effort, and as Zimbabweans, as a nation, we need to ensure the rule of law prevails, and that means compliance with international and regional instruments. Yes, it is worrisome when government officials make statements that are contrary to what we are advocating for, and for the protection of the girl child. And it's not just the girl child. She is the future of the nation. She will bear fruit to the next president.
She's going to be the next
male,
Tomana,
or female. So if we are going to crush her by confining her to a marriage when she is 14, how will she progress to her education, to her full potential, if she's taking care of other duties, raising another child? How will she be a role model to that child that there is a better life? Yes, circumstances may arise that poverty, yes, it's very much in existence in Zimbabwe. But then if we take a collective approach to it as a community, start at grassroots, as a community, what are we doing? Even in the rural areas, there is Zundera Mambo. I mean, there are orphans in the community, but they can be catered for through Zundera Mambo. So we cannot say that because a child is not going to school, she's a school dropout, the next thing she needs to do is just get married. Marriage isn't exactly the epitome of life.
And I'm just thinking, if we say 9-year-olds can get married, or